Well, good morning to you all, good morning. What is it today? Friday, the 5th of July 2024. And do you know what? It has the feeling of a wonderful, wonderful day. Yeah, good news all round, I think. Lots to do. I've got a wash load that I'm just waiting for the spinner to stop spinning and we can get the washing out, because today is going to be a really good drying day. Nothing better than a bit of solar powered clothes drying. And we've got leeks that are doing leaky sort of things, which is always good. These are leek flowers. That is good. The bees and butterflies love them, and they will give me seed for my leeks for next year. I've managed to... This isn't my first wheelbarrow load of weeds this morning. Weeding is one of those non-stop activities, and I've got a few thoughts about a little bit better weed control, which we'll be exploring. Grass got to be cut today, but that's an afternoon job once the sun has dried it out. You know, you don't want to be cutting wet grass if you can help it. It's not good for the grass, it's not good for the mower. But, you know, look at the sun speckling through the trees on the back of the house. Really need to get my acting gear and get that rendering finished. But in the meantime, we'll just spend a bit of time smelling the roses. Well, this might be an indicator of how good a day it's going to be. I decided it was well overdue for me to open this soot trap at the bottom of my chimney. And I thought this is going to actually make a really interesting video, because I don't know the last time that was opened, and I expected to have to soak it in penetrating oil and hit it with hammers and heat it and all sorts of... So I got my spanners in passing, and I put a 13mm spanner on the nut, and it just undid. So I'm sorry, you're not going to watch me fighting against a soot trap door, because it simply undid and came off. Going to be interesting digging all of the soot out, and then at some time I need to put a brush up the chimney. Ooh, there's lots of... Oh, I see, that's just wind blowing it about. But I'm going to dig that soot out next. Well, the job is a lot about making this all pretty, and the first thing, of course, is to take off any loose render, and you can hear that that is, it's what we call blown, it's just loose. So we're going to make a bit of noise. That's always good on a Friday. Well, things always get worse before they get better, don't they? Right, I think I've chipped back as much as I need to. So the next job... Well, no, the next job, of course, is a cup of tea, but then we'll mix up some show, squidge it all in, and start making that good. Well, that's the first stage done, and it's gone off nicely, because the next thing to do is to push in some render. Yeah, that's where we start pushing my skill levels, because obviously what I need to try and do is try and match the texture, which just never happens, does it? But What I didn't film for you was about 3 minutes ago. We had a little French Air Force two-seat turbine powered trainer aircraft that came hurtling through that way quite high, and he passed and then he stuffed it down in a dive. Quite a interesting nose over, disappeared behind the trees, pulled the power back on as he came there, and he came across there at a goodly rate of knots. And yeah, now those of you that don't make videos will say, well, why didn't you film that? Those of you that do make videos know full well why I didn't film it. Firstly, the camera was on the kitchen table, and secondly, incredibly quick little two-seat trainers that come hurtling through the overhead, you just can't follow them with a camera like this. So I'm sorry you missed that. I dare say there'll be others. Right, well, there we are. Now the trick with this is you do it as nicely as you can, and then you let it go off before you tidy it up, because if you try to tidy it up while it's still a little bit soggy, you end up making more of a mess than you were correcting. Yeah, getting there.